Bonjour, welcome to Wahsa Distance Education Center's radio Zoom classes. This is MEL3E, Workplace Math for grade 11, and I am the teacher, Bronwyn Slate. If you'd like to participate live today, you can call the Wahsa studio at 1-800-465-7144 or 737-4017. You can listen on the radio at 91.9 FM or on the television at Bell Express View channel 972. You're always welcome to join me live through the Zoom link, which is available from me, your teacher, and also your DEC. Our classes are scheduled Monday through Thursday from 9 till 10 in the morning, and we are wrapping up our 4th week of our 9-week course. At this point, you definitely should be getting ready to submit some work for marking. So the support questions, the ones marked with the pencil icon, are not for grading. They're just practice questions, which are important to do, but you don't need to submit. So you decide which ones and how many to do. If you are understanding a concept, feel free to skip questions. You don't need to spend time on something that is already making sense and you're not struggling with. That's totally fine. But if you do need more practice and you are struggling with something, please ask and I can send you more questions. The key questions, the ones marked with the key icon, are the ones to submit for grading. So please do all of the questions, showing all of your work, your steps, and your thinking. This way I can give you credit for all of your understanding. And also if you're making errors, then I have more information about why you might be making those errors so that I can support you and help you understand. There are 3 methods for submitting your work. The first is to scan and send your work in electronically. So if you scan your completed work in using a smartphone, the iPhone Notes app, the Android Google Drive app both have scan functions. They're fairly straightforward. If you need help, let me know and I can walk you through it. If that doesn't work for you, that's fine. And you just want to send a picture of your work, that's okay too. Just picture files are a little bit larger and sometimes a little bit harder to read. So if you can scan them, that's easiest for me, but no worries if that doesn't work for you. Then you can send it through email to studentwork@nnec.on.ca and CC it to bronwyn.slate@nnec.on.ca. Or you can also send it to me through Facebook Messenger, where my name is B Slate Wahsa. The second method is to drop your work off in Sioux Lookout. So we have an outdoor mailbox at our location, 74 Front Street. We're the bright red building next to the post office. And we have a small white mailbox next to our side entrance. So you can just put it in there. We continue to be closed to the public. So that's just the best place if you're in town to drop it off in the mailbox at any time of the day. And then I'll get it and get it back to you as soon as I can. Then the third method is to hand your work into your DEC. Your DEC can either send your work through the Express or fax it to 807-737-1732 or toll-free fax to 1-800-463-7852. If you'd like to connect with me through social media, both my Facebook and my YouTube channel are under the name B Slate Wahsa. So you can find me there, and all of our lessons after airing, our lessons are recorded and I post them on YouTube and share them on Facebook. So you can find them to watch them again or to slow things down, stop them, rewatch bits and pieces. Also, I have short videos that explain common errors and confusing concepts on my YouTube channel. So that can be really helpful if you're struggling with something that isn't necessarily our course content, but maybe a building block skill. You can go and check it out there to see if there might be an example or something that walks you through an idea of how that works that can help you. Math is a really visual subject, so I really encourage you to connect with the videos, either joining me live through Zoom, even if you don't want to talk, but just want to watch, that's totally fine. And then if that doesn't work for you, that watching the replays on YouTube are really going to help you set you up for the most success. So if you can't do either of those options, let me know and I can send you a recording of our classes so that you can still access the videos. Still get the full experience, but you don't need the internet to do that. So just communicate with me. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact me. My email address is bronwyn.slate, which is spelled BRONWYN.SLATE at nnec.on.ca. You can also message me through Facebook at b/Wahsa. You can call me at the office at 807-737-1488, extension 2209. I do have access to my voicemail now, so feel free to leave me a message and I'll get back to you if I don't pick up. Or you can call toll free at 1-800-667-3703. My office hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., but I am teaching from 9 till 10 and 3 till 4. So you won't be able to get a hold of me during those hours. All right, so today we are doing another Throwback Thursday, focusing on lessons 4 through 8. So a reminder of why we're reviewing already. We're at the end of our 4th week and we're almost halfway through our course. And we want to talk about the science, the research that's been done about forgetting and about retention of information. So this was started by Hermann Ebbinghaus in 1885. That's when he published it. And the experiments that he did showed that we forget things really quickly and in a very short period of time. So it doesn't take, after learning something, we might understand it 100%, which is great. And then it can take one day and we can already have lost like 15% of that remembering. So it's not about not understanding it anymore. It's just that you don't remember it just because our brain is moving on to store new information. So very, very quickly in a week, we lose 60% of what we understood and what we knew in just a week. So I think it's really important for us to revisit. The second part of his research was that if we revisit that material, not only do we not forget as much of it because we're revisiting it, so we're filling our knowledge back up to 100%, but we forget it slower. So that slows down that forgetting curve by revisiting it every while. So we hold that information for a longer period of time. So by us quickly reviewing and retouching on the subjects that we've already talked about on those first lessons means that by the end of it, hopefully it's going to be more solidified in your brain and you'll actually understand it and remember it for a longer period of time. Okay, so let's do our brain activation, our mental math. So we know that I don't like mad minutes for math. They just are memorizing facts and regurgitating them, and that's not actually, knowing the facts is important, but doing the mad minutes doesn't teach us the facts or help us strategize for situations where we don't have them memorized. So we work on strategies that we can use in various situations with whatever numbers, and so that they can be friendly numbers and things that we can use whenever we need to. So our question today is 45 plus 47, and we're going to use the strategy of near doubles. So near doubles is when doubles, for some reason, often fit in our brains. They're easy to remember. They connect. So when we're learning to add, it's one of the first things that we are comfortable with, that they just click in our brains for most folks. Maybe not for everybody, probably not for everybody, but for most folks. So near doubles is when we use that knowledge of doubles in order to add numbers that are close to doubles, but not quite. So 45 plus 47 is really close to 45 plus 45, because 47 is 45 plus 2. So 45 plus 45 is 90. That's a double. And then if we add 2, we get 92. So 45 plus 47 equals 92. And this is one of those ones that writing it all out looks like a lot of steps, but if in your head, you can just think these things where it's like, well, 47 is only 2 more than 45. I know that 45 and 45 is 90. So 2 more than that is going to be 92. That's what I've written down, is just sort of what the thinking is. And you don't necessarily need to write it down, but I'm just showing you the visual of how I walk that through in my brain, and other folks might do as well. Okay, so that's our strategy. So when we're doing Throwback Thursday, we're just going to first look at the highlights of what we've learned so far to help remember what we've covered. We are almost halfway through the course, so we've covered a lot, half the material. So for Unit 1, our highlights were Lesson 1 was talking about earning an income. So we talk about salary, piecework and job advertisements. So remember, salary is getting paid how much you get paid in the year, where piecework is when you get paid per item or per service. And then we looked into job advertisements just to understand them. Lesson 2 was commission and hourly rates. So hourly rates are when you get paid per hour. So you get minimum wage, remember, is $15 per hour. So the number of hours you work times $15. Overtime, we talked about, which is often time and a half. So 1.5 times your hourly rate for any hours over 44 hours, unless your particular company might give you overtime for less than 44 hours, but they have to at 44 hours. And then also commission, which is when you earn a percentage of whatever you sell. So often like car salesmen are working on commission. So if they sell a car for $5,000, then they make 10% on that sale or 20% on that sale, and they make $1,000 or something like that. Lesson 3 was gross and net pay. So we looked at the difference between gross income and net income. Gross is the total amount that you make, and then net is after how much you take home after your deductions. We talked about what the standard deductions are. So looking at CPP, Canada Pension Plan, and EI, which is employment insurance, and then income tax. And then we also talked about monthly expenses and sort of started about how to budget a little bit and pay attention to your overall spending. And so that was what we've covered so far. And now let's look a little bit more detail in the further lessons that we haven't had a Throwback Thursday on yet. So we talked about paying taxes for lesson 4. So we looked at tax paperwork, which was the TD1, the Schedule 1, and the ON 428, which are the forms that you need to fill out if you're doing your taxes by hand on your own. We talked about your T4, which is your income form that shows what your income is, and your T5, which is on any interest that is part of your income that you've earned for investments. And then we talked about just general receipts that you can use to make claims and deductions so that you're not paying necessarily as much tax. Then we talked about calculating income tax, and we talked about the tax brackets, which are a little bit confusing, but we used the idea of pockets where you fill up the pockets and then there's a percentage on that. And then once that pocket is filled up, then the rest of your money spills over to the next pocket. So if you might need to spend more time with that lesson and that's totally fine. So go back to lesson 4 if you need to. Then we talked about federal and provincial rates. For income tax, there are 2 separate rates. You need to calculate them separately. And then we talked about the percentage of your income that is taxed. So that's the tax that you pay divided by your gross income. It tells you how much, what percentage of your income you pay in taxes. Then we talked about the hidden taxes, which were like jewelry tax, cigarette tax, and gasoline tax, where there are taxes built into the price that you pay, plus your HST or your other taxes on top of it. And then lesson 5, we talked about making purchases, where we first talked about making change and how important it is as a consumer to be comfortable in making change, even if you're not making change, so that you get correct change. And how we often like the fewest coins or bills as possible. So instead of doing the counting up by 10 cents or something, doing something that has dollars or quarters so that you don't have as many coins. Then we talked about sales tax, which was the provincial sales tax, goods and sales tax, and harmonized sales tax. And we talked about discounts, where the discounts are taken off first and then tax is added. So that was a lot of information in those 2 lessons. Oh, right, and estimating costs, I forgot about that. Where we run the price, we estimate a discount if applicable, and then we estimate our HST in Ontario. Then we moved on to lesson 6, which was buying decisions. So we talked about the best buy of unit price. So being able to unitize your prices so that you can compare them when there are different amounts of stuff. We talked about how more is not always better, but that you got to decide for yourself what makes the most sense. Sometimes less is better because you don't waste something, or you have less money in this time and you need to, in order to afford it, you need to spend less. That makes sense. And then unit prices dollars per unit. So dollars per pound, dollars per liter, dollars per t-shirt, whatever. But its unit price is always dollars per something. Then we talked about incentive programs, which are motivating individuals to buy something or participate in a survey or something, and that they're not always a better deal. So you need to be paying attention to what the sale is or the incentive is and decide if that's actually what you want to do. And we talked about currency conversions, focusing on converting Canadian dollars to US dollars, and where right now, roughly, or at least when we first did this lesson, Canadian dollars were, one Canadian dollar was roughly 79 cents for the US, and how we can convert our money back and forth between those two. Then we dived into simple interest. So lesson 7 was simple interest, and that we know that simple interest is calculated only on the principal, and it's linear growth, it's straight line, you're consistently growing at the same rate. So the pattern changes at a constant rate. And our formula is I equals PRT, where you're multiplying P times R times T, where I is your interest earned in money, your P is your principal amount, how much you're investing or borrowing, your R is your interest rate as a decimal, and your time is time in years. And then we figured out that to find your total amount, that you have to do your principal plus your interest in order to find your final amount. And then lesson 8, we then did compare simple to compound interest to figure out how those are connected and what compound interest means. So first we remembered that simple interest is calculated only on the principal and it's constant growth, where compound interest is calculated on the principal and accumulated interest. So any interest that we get, we calculate more interest on it, and it's exponential growth. So it's rapid change and has the biggest impact after long periods of time. So here in our graph, it's hard to see, it's just over a short period of time. So we only see a little bit of a change, but you can see that already the compound interest, which is the blue line, is increasing faster. It's getting bigger before the straight pink line is, which is simple interest. And we practiced using spreadsheets, how you can actually calculate these things, going through both Excel and Google Sheets so that you can use those forms to calculate compound interest and see all of the parts. Reminder for lesson 8, you need to use a spreadsheet in order to for the marks, to hand in the assignment. If you don't have computer access, you don't have access to Excel and Google Sheets, that is fine. Just let me know and I have an alternative lesson for you to do so you can do the interpretation and you can understand what's going on without losing marks for just not being able to have access to a computer. Okay, so that's a lot what we've done. We've done a couple more things, but I'm going to stop it there. We'll do those things on the next Throwback Thursday. But that's a lot that we've covered. So we're going to do some mixed practice where we have questions, all questions from those different lessons, and I have them all mixed up so that we don't know for certain what it is that we're doing, and we have to figure out what kind of question it is. Because that's in real life, we aren't given this is a simple interest question. This is the tools that you need to do in order to calculate it. No, that's not how the world works. The world works like, here's a situation, figure it out. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to figure out the situation. All right, so number 1, a 1.5 liter container of yogurt sells for $4.99. A smaller 500 milliliter container sells for $3.89. Calculate the unit price per liter for each bottle. So we're going to do the 1.5 liter container first. And so remember, for unit price, we're looking for dollars per liter. So how many dollars for 1 liter is this equivalent to? So in order to do that, we need to think, okay, well, we do $4.99 per 1.5 liters. So if we divide that, we're going to get how many dollars per 1 liter. So using our calculator, 4.99 divided by 1.5 is equal to $3.33. So if you buy the large container of yogurt, it's $3.33 per liter. For the small container of yogurt, where it's 500 milliliters, here it is $3.89 per 500 milliliters. Well, this one we need to times by, so there's a couple ways you can do this. We want to convert it into liters. So it's 1,000 milliliters per liter. So we can do $3.89 divided by 500 milliliters times 100 milliliters divided by 1 liter. And that's going to convert it into liters. So 3.89 divided by 500 all times 1,000 equals $7.78. So it's $7.78 per 1 liter. You could also, if this is confusing, that's fine. You could also just logically think, well, 500 milliliters is half of a liter. So I could just double $3.89. I could just multiply it by 2, and that would get you the same thing as $7.78. Okay, so which gives you more for your money? So if we look, well, for the large container, we get $3.33 per liter, and the small container, it's $7.78 per 1 liter. So it's significantly more if you were to buy the small container. It costs a lot more for the same yogurt, in theory, than the large container. So the 1.5 liter container gives you more yogurt for your money. Then explain how you might be able to determine the better buy without calculating the unit prices. So sometimes it doesn't make sense to calculate it. So here, 1.5 liters is 3 times 500 milliliters. So if we just think of, well, what is going to be the smaller container, is it going to be worth the same amount or less if we do 3 times the number? If we buy 3 of the small containers, we're going to have the same amount of yogurt, and how much money are we going to spend? And then we can just estimate it. We don't have to do the direct calculation. So we can say, okay, well, the smaller containers is about $4 per container. So if we do 3 times $4, that's $12. So getting the same amount of yogurt as the big container would cost us $12 if we buy the little containers. Whereas just buying the big container, it's only $5. So we could, instead of doing the unit price, we could just try to find the comparable amount of yogurt and how much that's going to cost, opposed to comparing the dollars. And then give 2 reasons why someone would knowingly purchase an item that has a higher unit price. So maybe it's convenience. Maybe you're buying something that you need it to be in smaller containers. So you're buying yogurt for 3 kids. And so you need the smaller containers. I mean, 500 milliliters is a lot of yogurt for a kid. These aren't just like the little cups. Little cups are like 50 milliliters. But anyway, or you're buying it for 3 families. So you're doing something like you're making a basket or you're donating food or something, you're providing food to someone. And so you need 2 different containers of yogurt. And so instead of buying the bigger yogurt and then you just have 1 container, you need 2 containers. That makes sense. Or maybe it's you like the brand, like more expensive brand. So we don't know that these are the same brand and that they're exactly the same yogurt. Maybe we like the brand, maybe it has, you have particular like dietary needs. And so the smaller one is lactose free. And so then you can have yogurt, whereas the larger one has lactose and you're lactose intolerant. So, or it has a lot of added sugar, or you want more fatter content in your yogurt. So your only option is to get the smaller one because the bigger one is 0 fat and you don't want 0 fat or something like that. So it really depends on your needs. Yes, sometimes the money is what you're paying attention to, and it's good to have that informed choice. But sometimes it doesn't make any sense to have a whole bunch of yogurt that you're not going to eat. You only need yogurt for one particular meal or one particular thing. And you know that having 3 times the amount of yogurt just means you're going to waste it and you're going to throw it out. So that doesn't make any sense to buy that much yogurt. So there's various reasons why you might spend more money for something that's not the better buy. And that's totally legitimate. You do what makes most sense for you. Okay, question 2. Amara works for Hydro One. Oh, and that was a unit price question. Number 1 is a unit price question. Sorry, I forgot to say that at the beginning. Amara works for Hydro One. She earns $26.50 per hour as a hydro technician. She usually works 37 hours per week. No, 37.5 hours per week. How many hours does Amara work in a 2-week period? So this looks like an hourly rate question because we're talking about hours. So in 2 weeks, if in 1 week she works 37.5 hours, so in 2 weeks, we would times that by 2. So 37 here, let's actually, which is the same as like 37.5 plus 37.5, right? We could do our doubling, our near doubles, or these is doubles, but 35 plus 35 is 70. And then I have 250 left from each of them. So that's going to be 75 hours. So you could multiply it by 2, or you could add it together twice. So Amara works 75 hours in 2 weeks. Calculate her total earning for 1 pay period. So we're going to assume that 1 pay period, because it doesn't tell us anywhere, my bad. We're going to assume that she gets paid bi-weekly. I think that was my intention. So 1 pay period is 2 weeks. So that means that she gets paid $26.50 an hour times 75 hours is equal to $26.50 times 75 is equal to $1,987.50. So that's how much her gross pay is over 1 pay period, which is 2 weeks. Determine her total earnings for a 2-pay month. So some months, depending on when your payday is, some months have only 2 pay periods and some months have 3 pay periods. So if she has 2 pays in 1 month, then we're going to take the $1,970.50 and times it by 2. And that would figure out how much she gets paid monthly. So that's $3,975 for a 2-pay month. And if calculate Part D, calculate her total earnings for a 3-pay month. So we still do $1,987.50 times 3 because there's a 3-pay month, which happens generally twice a year, depending on what your payday is. If it can be different, different months are going to have, it's just how the calendar weeks fall. So we times it by 3 and we have $5,962.50. So that is how you can do hourly pay, to figure out what your budget might be for the month. All right, number 3, suppose Matt's gross monthly income is about $1,987. Calculate his net income by determining his deductions. So this is a standard deduction question. So we're going to be looking at EI, CPP, and income tax. So first, we need to figure out how much his yearly income is. So his monthly income is $1,987. So times that by 12 is going to give us his yearly gross income. So that is $23,844. So we're just going to write that in this chart. You don't have to use a chart, but I just put a chart on here to keep ourselves organized. So then to calculate his net income by determining his deductions, so we need to figure out his CPP and his EI first. So remember how we do that is, so for EI, it's 1.5% up to $889.54. So that means we do his yearly income, his gross yearly income. So $23,844 times 1.58%, which is 0.0158. So using our calculator, 0.0158, and we get $376.74. So is that more than $889.54? Nope. So that means that his EI that he pays in this year is $376.74. Okay. So then for CPP, how much CPP does he pay? We do the same thing using the CPP rate. So we do $2,384 times 5.45%, which is 0.0545, sorry. So then on our calculator, that is $1,299.50. So is that greater than $2,898? Nope. So that means we pay that actual amount, or Matt pays that actual amount. So that's how we calculate the EI and the CPP. We need to figure out the federal tax and the provincial tax. We're going to do that on another screen just because it's busy. So for federal income tax, so we need to figure out how much he pays. So remember his gross yearly income, which we just calculated, is $23,844. So we look and we see which pocket is all that money going to fit in. Well, that's going to fit in because on the first pocket holds $50,197. So it's just going to fit in the first pocket. It's not going to spill over to other pockets. It's only going to fit in that first pocket. So that means that for his federal tax, we do $23,844 times 15%. So 0.15. And that is $3,576.60. And so that's how much federal tax you would pay in that year. So we're going to go back and put it in our chart, 3576.50. Just to keep our information all together. Okay, so now we're going to look at the Ontario income tax, the provincial part. So remember, our gross income is $23,844. So we need to figure out what pocket does that fit in. Well, if for Ontario income tax this year, on the first $46,226, you pay 5.05%. So Matt's income falls in only in that first pocket, doesn't spill over into the next pocket. So that means that we do 23,844 times 5.05%, which is 0.0505. So use our calculator. So that's $1,204.12. So that's how much Ontario income tax Matt pays for that year. So then let's take that back to our chart. So the total deductions that Matt pays in that year. So now we have a list. So we're going to add them all together. So we have our CPP, which is $1,299.50, plus our EI, $376.74, plus our federal income tax, which is $3,576.50, plus our provincial tax, which is $1,204.12. This is why writing it all together was, having it on this chart was easy so that we could add them all together at the end. So that total deductions are $6,456.86. So over the course of the year, this isn't just in one pay, this is over the course of the year, Matt pays $6,456.86 in deductions. So then to figure out his total net income for the year, we do his total gross income, $23,844, take away $6,456.86, which gives us $17,387.14. 17,387.14. So that's how much Matt's take home, his net income is. So that's how you find out what your net income is based on the standard deductions. So you can figure this out for your own income. If you have an income and you pay these things, you could figure that out if you wanted to figure out how much money you actually take home. Okay, let's continue. So that was a net pay question. George and Marty are hired to pick strawberries at $2 per 2-liter basket. George and Marty start work at 7 a.m. and finish at 5:30 p.m. How many hours do they work each day? So for this, how I would figure this out, because figuring out hours can be tricky. So from 7, I would just count up. So 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 to 11 till 12 till 1 till 2 till 3 till 4 till 5:30 is 10.5 hours if they work straight. So how much did Marty earn if he picked 42 baskets in one day? So Marty picked 42 baskets times $2 per basket is $84. The same day, George picked 29 baskets. So $29 times 2 is, well, 29 is almost 30. So 30 plus 30 is 60. So 2 less than that is going to be $58. So what is the equivalent hourly pay for both workers? So how we would figure this out, because this is like a piecewise question. So Marty has $84 per 10 hours and 10 and a half hours. So that is 84 divided by 10.5, which is $8 an hour. And for George, who made $58 that day for 10 and a half hours of work. So 58 divided by 10.5 is equal to $5.52. So this is why piecewise isn't necessarily a great way for the worker, because they don't make very much an hour. That's a lot of work for not very much pay. Okay, let's see how, yeah, we're doing okay. Number 5, Jalen is investing $25,000 and has 2 options, both using simple interest. So this is a simple interest question. We're not going to compound interest yet. Investec Bank offers 4.89% for 3 years. Rabo Direct offers 5.37% for 1 year. Which do we choose? So we're going to, again, we have to do this in 2 steps. So we're going to figure out for Investec Bank. So remember, I like to list my variables. So our principal is $25,000. Our rate is 4.89%, which is 0.0489. And our time is 3 years. So then if we're doing our interest, I equals PRT. So 25,000 times 0.0489 times 3 is equal to we do that on our calculator. Times 3 is equal to $3,667.50. So that's how much interest Jalen would make using Investec Bank with a lower interest rate for the longer period of time. So if she uses Rabo Direct, so again, the principal is still $25,000. Her interest rate is 5.37%, so 0.0537. And her time is for 1 year. They're only committing to that for 1 year. So to find the interest that she would make in that 1 year, we do I equals PRT. So 25,000 times 0.0537 times 1. And that is going to be how much interest. So we calculate it. Is going to be $1,342.50. So which one do you think she should choose? Well, she would make a lot more money using Investec. So I would encourage her to choose that. But she'd have to be able to invest it for 3 years, and that's how she gets more money. So if she were to invest with Investec, she would make $3,667.50, whereas if she invested in Rabo, it was $1,342.50. So the difference between that is how much more she would make with that investment over 3 years. Is $2,325. So just, even though it's a lower interest rate for doing it for longer, means that she makes more money. So often investing, longer you can do it, the better. Okay, so number 6, a set of speakers regularly sells for $59.89. The speakers are on sale today for 15% off the regular price. Estimate the sale price of the speakers before tax. So we're estimating, we're not calculating exactly. So that means that I'm going to round. I'm going to say that the regular price is $60. And so the sale price is, well, 10% of $60 is $6. And 5% of $60 is $3. So that means that it's about $9 off. So the sale price is about $51. So then we're going to estimate the HST. So on the sale price. So remember, for HST, it's 13%. So when we're estimating, we can do 10% plus about a third of that. So 10% of $51 is $5.10. And a third of that, well, a third of $6 is $2. So I'm just going to say it's going to be a little bit less than that. I'm just going to say 90 cents because then I end up having a total of $6 as my HST. So then the estimate of the after-tax cost is of the speakers is going to be your sale price. So $51 plus your tax, which is $6. So $57 is what our estimate of how much it's going to cost. Okay, so now let's find the exact price. So we're going to use a calculator. So remember, our sale was 15% off. So we need to figure out, we need to do $59.89, take away $59.89 times 0.15, take away that 15%. So if we do that on a calculator, we're doing it all in one step this time, which is fine. You can or you don't have to. So we're taking away, and we end up with $50.91. So the sale price is $50.91. And we had estimated that it was $51. So that's pretty close. So then calculate the exact after-tax cost of the speakers. So now we need to calculate the tax. So $50.91 times 0.13 to figure out the tax. Remember, there can be more than one way to do these things where you can, and it's fine to do it whatever way makes sense for you. So that's $6.61. So that means that the total cost is $50.91 plus $6.61. I rounded wrong, but whatever, we'll go with it, which is $57.52. So I estimated it before to be $57. So the difference is I was 52 cents off. I was too low by 52 cents, but that's a pretty good estimate. Okay, so we are done Unit 1 and most of Unit 2. So now's a really good time if you haven't submitted anything for grading to submit questions, lessons 1 through 8 at least for marking. Remember to do the key questions, to do them all, show all of your work so I can give you credit for all of that you do, so that you can get going on to move on to the next, continuing to move forward. As our class we're almost halfway through, and if you want to get done, then you got to start sending me some work. So you can call me if you need to ask any questions or chat about anything at 807-737-1488, extension 2209, or toll free 1-800-667-3703. You can email me at bronwyn.slate, which is spelled BRONWYN.SLATE@nnec.on.ca. You can Facebook message me or send your work through Facebook to B-Slate Wahsa. Remember, our lessons are all uploaded to B-Slate Wahsa on YouTube, so you can get this review lesson as well as all of our previous lessons if there's anything you're struggling with there on YouTube. So that's a great place if you haven't handed in work to go and review so that you can support you. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you have a lovely day. Miigwech.